Hello, my fellow risers. So I want us to celebrate something, which is the clarity of our mission. We thought years ago that it was about inspiring people to be reasonable. And then we realized, over the last couple of years that reason isn't really a thing. But we can be aware of what our brain does and how it fails to imitate reason and make adjustments so that its shortcuts are a little bit better at getting us something closer to truth, and so on. And one thing that people have always gotten wrong about my mission is thinking that I want people to think a certain thing. Sort of the most reductive bastardization of my mission is that I want to abolish religion. But that's not, I don't think that religion would exist in the kind of world I imagine. But it's kind of irrelevant. It's a lot more than just religion. It's the way that we interact. It's everything that we say, all our judgments and interpretations. So here's what we're celebrating. Realizing that the human brain is pretty much good in the sense that it's pro-social, and in the sense that there's some sort of valuing of truth. Even if that valuing of truth doesn't play much of a role in much of the brain's activity. So, and of course we wouldn't exist and we wouldn't have created all the things that we've created if it weren't the case that our brains are somewhat, there's some hope. Well, recently I realized that we don't actually have self-awareness. And it's such a crazy thing that we can talk about computers being sentient and self-aware. Yeah, talk about it. But we ourselves don't say, this is what I am. And it took me a while to grapple with the size of that realization, that shift in my paradigm, because being born and raised in this time, I'm thinking I'm sounding like an absolute crazy person, but that's okay. Being born in this time, I sort of took for granted the intelligence of homo. That's what I'm gonna start doing, by the way, because I gotta stop saying man when I talk about the species, because it's also got a gender definition. Don't want to say human because it's got a whole lot of magic attached to it. Whole bunch of connotations, and we are not that magical, so we're gonna go homo, and this way, see, we can reclaim a word that's used pejoratively anyway. So we'll reclaim it, Latin man, human being. Could do being, but no, I want to be specific to our species, so homo, because nobody else in the genus is still around. So we can go with that. And I'm not going to do sapiens, because that we are not. So anyway, so us homos, we, listen, it's only been 4 minutes. Yes, I appreciate that you have stuck around, and we're going to get there, but also it has only been 4 minutes. So, let the programming play as it will. But the programming is good in the way that it's pro-social, okay? So we'll pick up there. And so if humans were self-aware, that's a huge information infusion. Holy shit. To know how the mind works, for the mind to know how it works, for the mind, first of all, to even know what it is. Oh, I'm not this magical thing. And then with some weird words, I say that I'm like a production, some mystical side thing to the brain, whatever. Okay. So a mind that goes, I am neurons and their arrangement and their chemical interactions and electrical signaling, or electrical transmission, and electrical down the cell, chemical across the synapse. And that the way that they have been arranged was determined by the pressures of a very different environment than this one. And there's never an objective as though there's a creator, but the environmental pressures were pushing it towards something that would generally survive, or at least its relatives would generally survive long enough to reproduce. So knowing that is those are my mechanisms, and now that I am in a very different environment, and also my objective is no longer just to make it to 25. My objective is to accomplish all these things, to do all these abstract things, and to maybe know truth. Holy shit! Don't really have the programming for that, but I'll use whatever programming I have, plus the information that's available about the mind from neuroscience, learn what this thing is. Okay. Honestly, racism, gone. Because most people are good, and racists are not bad people. They're just people that don't realize their in-group, out-group voice is just super unmitigated. And so they're out there thinking they have evidence. Oh. Who's this lady? Neil! Oh. Neil, quiet. Neil, stop it. Neil. Neil, chill out. We gotta work on that programming, buddy. You can't be trying to dominate everybody, you know? But I can't just tell you that. Aw, is she okay? Dzień dobry. Is she okay?
I hope so.
I think so. Normally he's never bitten another dog.
Yeah.
So I think though he wanted to dominate her. Huh?
His fault. Because he ran free
Oh yeah.
and she looking for trouble. Nie wlazłeś.
Okay, good. Okay, very good. Bye. Racism, gone. Because when you know that you have this hyperactive in-group, out-group voice, when you really believe that you can't trust your programming, then just maybe. Why are there so many people? Gosh, sorry guys. She's still checking that now. Yeah, he's okay, I think. Okay. Push passion. Alright. Push possum. Push possum. Sorry, push possum. Tack. the seventh time, the lady next to her understood. She said, "Oh, he's trying to say sorry." Okay. This is supposed to be quick, but fuck it. So racism gone. Okay. And because every anti-racist I've ever met, first of all, doesn't understand what racism is. Second of all, doesn't understand that we all have this in-group, out-group voice that's going to run, and it's self-justifying. So what it's going to do is, when it runs this mistrust, this distrust of the other, it gathers the evidence. That is your brain. That is you. It is not that this in-group, out-group bias presents to some magical you the information, and you have to work hard to ignore that. No, you don't exist. All it is this. And so this in-group, out-group, I mean, of course, there are other voices that can interact, but typically the in-group, out-group voice goes totally unmitigated. It's any time, no matter how anti-racist you are, if you are in a situation with a colored person and you are part of the majority, which is not colored, let's say, your interpretations of that interaction are affected by, or determined by, at least in part, by this in-group, out-group voice. So there are a lot of things that are going to factor in. So for instance, I mean, we could do a whole voice map, but we could say, like, so we could have, like, okay, color of skin triggers in-group, out-group voice. So let's say accent triggers in-group, out-group voice. Then there's, we notice that the person smiled at a time when we didn't realize what was funny, okay? That is a voice we always have. Anytime someone smiles and we don't know what's funny, there's an alarm that goes off. Okay, so there's a voice that draws attention, the brain's attention, to that behavior. And usually we'll dismiss it. Maybe we'll give the person benefit of the doubt. Oh, I want to know what this joke is. It's probably just a nice, funny joke. The thing is that if that moment happens and you've got unexplained smile voice who's been hyped up, and you've got in-group, out-group voice, sorry, there's no you, who's been hyped up, well, now, if they say anything at all displeasing, then your reaction is not going to just be determined by what they said, but the sum of these three voices is then going to hit the motor cortex or just the emotions, and maybe just trigger the amygdala with fear or anger or something like that. You cannot, the reason I say there is no you is because you are all of these. You cannot detach yourself from these. There is no you. I could remove or deactivate any one of these voices, and then you would continue to exist as 99 point blah 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 percent you. Depending, or we could define you by behavior, in which case, take certain voices don't have as much of an effect on behavior. Maybe they're more perceptual voices that don't. Well, I don't know. Anyway, so there is no you. Yeah. So you're just the sum of these things interacting. You're the desktop monitor of the human brain. So now, if this human brain, so there's no racism because all racist instincts with our good pro-social instincts do interact with our in-group, out-group. So anytime, for instance, that we have identified someone as the out-group, and so we have that activity going, but then let's say we get to know the person, or Maybe if we have something in common, but that might just make them sort of an in-group. But let's say we see them in pain. There we go. Let's say that we see them in pain. No reason for us to now categorize them as the in-group, but our pro-social voice, which was going, it was a basically for anybody of my species, sees this pain thing, and that is able to get it amped up enough to play harder and louder and stronger than the in-group, out-group voice, and ultimately be the one that delivers the behavior, right? So maybe you see them from afar, in-group, out-group voice going, no, I'm not going to go over there and help them. And then you see their facial expression, and the pro-social voice sees that and goes, oh my gosh, that's just what I needed. Yo, we're going. And he grabs the steering wheel of behavior, and you go over there. The body goes over. So, all right, so religion obviously wouldn't exist. I mean, we would just learn, oh, okay, so we have patternicity. Oh, okay, we have a preference for the type 1 error or the type 2 error over the other. Oh, okay, we have an automatic assumption of agency or intentionality. Oh, okay, we in the video I just made earlier, I learned that up is good and down is bad, right? God is up, the devil is down, and all this stuff. And then, we have upstanding citizen and all this stuff. This is Simone Chanel, or Simone Chanel. And you go up an escalator. When you get to the top of the escalator, you respond to questions more morally than subjects who had just gone down an escalator. So when we know that, when we learn that about our own programming, I do think I'm no different than you is what I'm trying to say. Or not what I'm trying to say, but it's what I'm going to say now. I'm no different than you, except for the self-awareness. Well, I've always had just a skepticism of myself. And always been reading about the brain. And anyway, I have all the same voices that you do. Which is how... But I just think we're running different programs. Or our programs have different information. And my programs right now have the information that they are programs. And that's an enormous piece of information. Like I said earlier, I don't know how else to state that. That's a really big piece of information to know what you are. It's super basic, but it's a really big piece of information. So I'm not a heart. So I'm not like a magical unit, a soul. Okay. Oh yeah, so religion, we were like, okay, so I just think of this God in paradise and all this stuff, because of course I would. Because that's my physical embodiment of metaphor that I evolved with as a manipulator of a body. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. There would be no more of this nonsense about this magical intuition. Oh my gosh, my gut. Oh, you should always follow your heart. Listen to your gut, blah, blah, blah. I mean, follow your heart in the sense of love. Oh yeah, love is the most important thing in the world besides truth. But don't follow the intellectual judgments of your heart. Not even the social ones. This person good, this person bad. Nope. It's amazing that humans continue to trust. Well, no, because you're so arrogant. Because you think that, like, you're a good judge. And that everybody else is shitty. But then, like, how do you even explain all the shitty people you've let in your life? That's what I don't understand. No, I do understand. Because your programming just sucks. No, we have the same programming. Because I also overestimate my ability, ignore evidence to the contrary. So that's right there. That's the Dunning-Kruger effect, or the overconfidence effect. And then we also have the confirmation bias. So that is automatically, that's what happens. Okay? I easily forget things. That's how it is. Which is why what I should do is use these post-it notes to write counter evidence. So as soon as I find some counter evidence to anything that I am saying, I'm gonna put it up there. But thing is, if I'm seeing it, I'm not seeing it because confirmation bias. So, okay, let me clarify that. What I am saying today is not what I have been saying for the last 15 years, nor what I've been thinking, nor what I have understood. So I have been constantly learning, but the great thing about me is that I guess I don't need to put post-it notes of the counter evidence, because no, there's lots of counter evidence that I determined to be bullshit, and yeah. But any counter evidence, but it's less likely for me to forget counter evidence, because when I see counter evidence, I go, oh, because I have the confirmation bias, but I also have another bias, or not another bias, another voice. So the confirmation voice and another voice that is really cool, which is a skepticism self voice. And so they fight it out all the time. And the reason I have that skepticism self voice is, well, in part, just a natural humility. And secondly, because amazing, I've achieved self-awareness. I know that I am a brain, and I understand that fully. I've always known that I'm a brain since I was 8, okay? I've been reading about the brain since I was 13. I've been confused by people's convictions about souls and free will since high school. And just like, how the hell do you think, like, you're so magical that you have, like, free will? It's amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing. And now I'm feeling hopeless again. I mean, these are smart people. This was the Illinois Math and Science Academy. This was this Christian kid. I mean, he's so rich now. I bet he's got a really good job. I don't know how rich he's. I mean, I bet he's very comfortable, I'm sure. I mean, that was a 40-year-old man in a 15-year-old's body, and he would act so wise, talking about free will and all that. But it's just such nonsense. How do you think? How is that? It's not even deep. There's no version of free will that exists. But there are the programs that respond to the environment, interact with themselves, and change. So here I am, speaking to you, the hundreds of thousands of voices that you are. Any of you that can hear me, and so any humility voices, hey, I'm motivating you. Any sort of some common sense voice. I usually am against common sense because our instincts aren't good, but I mean, come on. It's just simple reasoning. It's just, we are brains, and brains are arranged in a certain way, and it's input, interaction, output. Just know that. I don't even understand how every time I have this conversation, this is why I love talking to you. Because even though I hear you turn off the video, I hear you blah, blah, blah. But what you don't do is what everybody does. How do you disagree with that? Look. I don't know whether to just ignore the majority of you who think, oh yeah, he doesn't like when people disagree with him. I don't like disagreement. I don't like that one of us who's speaking right now it's farther away from truth maybe than the other. Or maybe we're equidistant from it and we're both just very wrong in equal ways. it's unsettling for me. Because, well, look, it's just unsettling for me. I'm not going to tell you there's some reasoning process behind it. I'm happy it's unsettling for me, though, for this reason. That it makes me unable to just accept, to just go, oh, okay, this is my opinion, that's yours, and I'm just going to continue believing this forever. It's how I learn, by being unsettled by disagreement, by wanting to find. Okay? Fortunately, since I'm so obsessed with finding truth and so darn good at it, I am often closer, and so they often, or I just have better words, and then they just feel intimidated, and they think my intention is to them, but my intention is to, let's build this together, and let's move quickly. Here are my pieces. This wood's rotten? Okay. Sorry, actually, I'm not so convinced this wood's rotten. Can you just tell me why you think this wood's rotten? By this time, at the point in the conversation, they're already crying, saying, okay, fine, your materials are all good. It's the house that you want to build. Okay, you win. What? No, let's work together here. You're saying my wood's rotten. I don't think it is. Where is it rotten? That's not rot. That's a shadow. Where's it rotten? Oh, that's not a shadow. Oh, and there it's rotten. All right, cool, good. Throw me a piece of yours. This is complete garbage. This is a bundle of grass. This isn't wood. What do you mean I'm not seeing it right? All right. And we talk about it. So anyway, and we're able to talk about it because I know that my eyes are not perfect. I'm ready to be convinced that this isn't a bundle of grass, and indeed this is wood. I know that. That's an important piece of information for my eyes to have, for my occipital lobe, my visual processor to have. Hey guys, we've got the memo that this perceptual information. Oh, we're confusing the metaphor. So the perceptual information was analogous to interpretive. So this perception, we can't trust it, but really what I meant is our interpretations, we can't trust it. So the rest of the brain got the memo that what we get from the occipital lobe, we can't trust. And the rest of the brain got the memo that what we get from, and everybody's on guard. Not all the time. Don't have the energy for it. Wouldn't even know how to turn that on, even to do a burst. No idea. Anyway. So self-awareness. If the programs know that they are programs, it changes everything. Racism, religion, politics changes. No more campaigning. It'll be illegal to campaign. To go have your handsome face showing around. I mean, god damn. You know how much money they put into someone who's going to, choose the outfits and all this stuff, all to get our vote, because they know that that's what gets our vote. They know that we're not processing policies. But if we know that we're not processing policies, then we would say, hey, stop showing me your nice outfit. Stop putting photos of you and your nice smile and your nice teeth. Stop whatever, because that's activated. That's slapping programs. That's slapping deliveries. That's slapping behaviors and beliefs that I don't want to have slapped by those things. So, and I know that that's my programming. So it is illegal to do anything like that. In fact, a person should be invisible. Can't even see their face. Everybody would be in an uproar at first. People who aren't self-aware would be in an uproar. How can you trust a man you haven't seen his face? Why do you think that you're programming so good at reading faces that you could know a man from looking into his eyes? Oh my gosh. But self-aware people know that we're programmed to rely on what we see from faces, because, well, that was our only option before, and so it had to become really important to keep your eye on somebody's face, because if you're going to get any clues, it's going to be from the little expressions that we unconsciously process. Maybe not really, right? We can't even, we're not even good lie detectors, right? Experiments have shown humans not good at telling when people are lying. Okay, so, but over millions of years we developed no, nothing really. We're so bad at like judging people and stuff, saying the person's good, but we're programmed to think we're really good at it. So the self-aware people will say, "Oh, I have this urge to want to see the face, to justify that, to say blah blah blah." But then the other voice, the knowledge of what we are, of our programming, is going to come in and just pop that balloon, just rain on that parade. No point in looking at the face. You're not actually going to get any information from it. That's something that we really believe about ourselves. So then the sum of that interaction is, yes, vote the referendum, hide all candidates' faces. And then basically what it would be, the whole voting system would be, you go to the fucking website for candidate 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I don't know how they're put there. I don't know how they're who selects which 5 candidates. Fuck it. If we're self-aware, leave it to the people. Upvotes on Reddit. Okay? Whichever platform, whichever post explaining their platform gets the most upvotes on the thing, those are the 5 candidates. Then there's more investigation done and blah blah blah. We learn a lot more about these people. But we're not allowed to learn certain things, right? Certain things that and like every detail that's released about the candidate has to be justified by their position, right? So, for instance, this is one way to avoid the false authority voice, the false authority code. And basically, there's a program in the brain that when it hears that someone has ethos, has authority in something, it validates that person's authority. And then when some other voice consults, hey, should I trust this person? Like, does this person have authority? Well, that ethos voice, simple as he is, goes, yep, he has ethos. He has authority. The problem is that then you can have a famous actor, for instance, who's got tons of ethos being on screen. And by the way, how do we even perceive ethos? Well, it's just going to be, are they on screen a lot? And like this, and the camera's lower. And okay, the brain is like, okay, authority. So then when we go and say, hey, when part of the brain is going, all right, so we're considering this candidate, authority, what do you think? Authority goes, yeah, definitely an authority in his field. But he doesn't say in his field. He doesn't even know that. He doesn't even hold on to that. Just definitely an authority. So you would only be able to reveal that this person has theater background or drama or performance background if it's because of what part of their platform is for the creative arts or something. I don't know. Gosh, the world's gonna be so different when humans are self-aware. And that's all we have to do. We don't have to teach critical thinking. We don't have to really even teach anything about the brain in particular. It's just that it exists. And then, in school, you would learn a couple hundred you know, basic voices that are gonna, you know, to be on the lookout for. Again, I repeat that it's not like the voice goes and then automatically, once you've learned about the voice, you're on the lookout for it, and so you will not let it influence you. No, not what happens. We need constant reminders, first of all. Information is not just automatically, constantly, it's not constantly active throughout the brain. We are not integrated. But think about whether I want to take this chocolate story. Let's just try to stick to an hour. So we're not integrated, and so and then also the other component is there is no you. So it's not that this voice is influencing a you. It's just influencing some other voice, some other voices, which are themselves influencing some other voices, and there's some. And that's the delivery, the behavior, or the change in the brain, the change in the arrangement and the communication of the voices, like a lasting change. So what it means then is that when you know a voice, it's mostly just about recognizing after the fact. That's what I do. And so basically, if I don't have, because I'm obsessed, so I keep running things over and over and over again in my head. And sometimes in that process, I notice in checking sort of, in trying to, no, in just processing the belief I have, the reaction that I have, the judgment that I have, whatever, it's not an analysis. It's just as that judgment is being reacted to by other voices, at some point, for instance, authority bias, the knowledge of the authority bias voice might be triggered when, as I'm replaying this judgment, I think about this person's authority, and maybe if I'm lucky, then, and with practice more and more, this knowledge of the authority bias voice will go off, and we'll say, oh, wait a minute, do we think that that's maybe why we, you know, trust this person or believe this person? Because they have authority in this field? Because that's not actually relevant. So yeah. And then everybody in my brain gets another chance. They go, oh, okay. So everybody reacts to it because we no longer have the answer space filled. I mean, they're constantly sort of reacting to it, but now everybody takes it much more seriously once we realize specifically what the error was. All right, so here's an example. So I've been driving a lot. You know how a breakup is. Well, it wasn't a breakup. It was just, you know, we went on a couple dates. And we weren't feeling it. And so, and that means a lot of gas. And I used my mother's credit card for that. And so when oh shit, that's not how I should have started, but whatever. Okay. Look, my dad, we're on the phone. He says something really vague. But I realized that, wait, are you saying that I'm spending too much? He goes, yeah, you know, just watch it. I said, oh, okay, yeah, no, I'll cut it down. And I immediately thought of all the times I've stood in front of grocery store shelves and chosen chocolate items and cookies and snacks and then gotten to the till and the total is like, oh my god, that's higher than it should be. So that immediately came to mind, and I said to him, yeah, I'm going to watch my, yeah, I've been buying a lot of chocolate and stuff, I'm going to watch that. And he kind of smirked or something, maybe because he felt uncomfortable, I don't know, or maybe because he realized how fucking stupid that was of me to say. But no, it's just natural programming. Basically, he said, he overspending was this input, basically. And that first thing it evoked, we call this the availability heuristic or the recency heuristic. And it's not one thing, it's two different things. But not sure which one to qualify this as. But, well, see, for one, 100 euros goes into my tank, takes a couple minutes. And during that time, I'm thinking about something else. And it's just numbers on a screen anyway. Well, no, it's really the couple of minutes. However, when I'm buying chocolate, I'm looking at the prices as I select. I'm going, oh, should I get another package? Yeah, because I'm going to eat all of these tonight. So I do want something for tomorrow, so I have to go back to the store again. And then I go, oh, should I get another one? Yeah, because I'm going to eat both of those tonight, so then I should have something for tomorrow. And that continues to repeat, so I keep engaging with these prices, and then I engage, and then I hand them the card and all of that, and so on. And it's also, there's more guilt in the experience, so it's more vivid experience associated with overspending because it doesn't feel necessary. If I'm out of gas, it feels necessary to fill it up. So it's just not something that I really associate with overspending. I've probably spent about 100 euros on snacks and shit in the past 2 months, when the second date doesn't go well. But every week or so, I'm probably dropping 100 driving. How crazy! But it's not crazy because, of course, the brain doesn't have numbers and whatever really automatically processed. So the availability heuristic ran. First thing that came to mind is what I engaged with, which was the dessert stuff. That was the most vivid thing, and that's what I attributed it to, or wrote it off. And then I was thinking about how sad I am that I'm gonna have to cut back on those desserts and how much I'd like to have some sugar. So there was a voice that sent out a call that said, "Hey, anybody have any reason why so we can continue to eat like sugar and stuff?" And then I had been thinking about my dad's smirk. So me thinking about what I had said and just the overspending in general, I kept thinking about that conversation. Finally, knowledge of basic numbers finally spoke up. Probably in response to the sugar tooth, or to the sweet tooth. And he goes, "Hey, yeah, you said you need a good reason for us to not be stressed about buying cookies anymore." Because I was thinking about it, and the math, actually, I've been trying to say this for a while, but nobody's been listening to me. The math doesn't actually add up. Feel free, but you do have to drive less. And then the sweet tooth voice was like, "Oh shit, yeah." And so he said that out. But then the person who was the voice that is, the voice system that is involved with the traveling plans was like, "Oh damn, no, you know what? Let's cut back on the desserts." And then the vivid guilt associated dessert thing, which was wrong, which another voice had already said was wrong, comes back and says, okay, because we'll cut back on the desserts because, like I said, that's the vivid association we have with overspending, so we cut that out. We are not overspending like I had said. And the numbers guy is going, "Dude, no, and he's saying to the sweet tooth guy, "Hey, you gotta shut him up." And sweet tooth guy's like, "Honestly, I don't stand a chance against traveling guy. Especially because, first of all, every time he drinks coffee and takes his medicine, he puts me to sleep. So anytime we could actually go to the store during the day, go and drive to the store and stuff, I'm knocked out. And I don't wake up until it's nighttime, and then y'all are too tired to do anything." So that's sort of, there's no heiress. There's just that. How absurd. And I thought, yeah, I'm a little bit embarrassed, of course, that You know, there's an embarrassment voice that's always running. Obviously, otherwise I wouldn't have that guilt every time I spend €7 on dessert, or not dessert, but like cookies and stuff. but it's been subdued when I'm buying gas. But so anyway, that's a huge piece of information to know that that's how the mind works. That's huge. Changes everything. How about addiction? Oh, you can't hate an addict anymore. You go, now I get what they meant by it's a disease. It's not like a disease, but we have a brain that is programmed to seek pleasure. Typically, there are other voices that are going to interact with those pleasure-seeking voices and, you know, keep us away from... Well, I mean, we didn't evolve with drugs. So we're lucky that anyone at all is able to stay away from them. And I think that probably most people who are not addicts have probably never really tried, right? But no, there are some people who have a really strong this voice system in the prefrontal cortex, who just have enough power to be able to interfere with that reward system, or to make the idea of drug use or repeating drug use just unappealing and make it not pleasurable. But, you know, if you grew up in an environment where that wasn't drilled into you, for instance, or if you tried it a couple times because you're just a little bit different from people and you felt different, you need a little escape, and we get that, and of course there's an escape, yeah, and you did it a couple of times, and then now the brain is going to be addicted. That's how the brain works. I mean, I don't know what the numbers are. I will never, ever, I have to promise to never do cocaine, because if I did cocaine, I would sell everything to continue doing it. Every time I imagine the effects of cocaine or sometimes of the opposite, of opium, to just be able to... Every time I imagine that, because I love when a joint just... You know what I mean? And I love when coffee's got me boop, 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 right? And I know that I don't have a strong system here that would interfere with the natural addiction response. My addiction response is, he's a heavy hitter in this brain. And I know that. Doesn't matter what I know about... Well, that's what I'm doing. Because I know the dangers of drugs and stuff, I know that I can never do anything other than mushrooms, weed, and I'd like to cut that out for meditation and just do mushrooms, maybe some acid, you know. But I'm just gonna stick with my weed, you know. So addiction, not that people won't not get addicted, so long as it's available, people will get addicted. But now we'll have sensible, like, responses to the problem when it happens. And we won't hate our loved ones, you know. And how about just hating our parents when they express disappointment or criticism? That's their programming, you know, and I'm working on that. I was watching a film the other day, and this father... actually the father-in-law says, and he's super nice, he loves the ex-son-in-law, actually, so ex-father-in-law, he loves him, but then he's like, oh man, that's disappointing. And you could see that the ex-son-in-law was disappointed to hear that, and of course we take that very seriously. The descendant, or the non-elder, whatever, the lower person, of course we are programmed to take very seriously the disappointment of elders, and elders are programmed to express disappointment. There's no other way to evolve. There's no other way. There's no other easy system to make sure that a species learns from one generation to the next. that elders pass on their information to the kids. That the kids are, of course, programmed to try to explore, rebel, do other things, but that the grown-ups be a restabilizing force and also express disappointment to encourage better things in line with what they have learned over their lifetime. And it's a great interaction. But we don't need to get upset with each other when it's happening. So anyway, so I saw that in the movie and I was like, gosh, you know, you can see that's really affecting him. Totally natural, that's fine. And actually, I actually thought the father there, I was like, you know, you didn't need to, that's a weird thing to say. And then I thought, oh wait, that's part of the programming. And then I thought about all the times I've gotten frustrated with my dad on the phone recently. That's the program that runs. Now, if I am feeling particularly vulnerable or whatever, I can say, hey, Dad, I hear you on that. I mean, he's not particularly disappointed in me, but, you know, sometimes he's frustrated or wants me to do something differently. And so I say, hey, what I should do is say, hey, Dad, so I hear that. And I'll keep an eye on that. I'm taking that seriously. But my natural son wanting to please you mechanisms are, I think, running more than I'd like them to right now. And I don't even think it's appropriate because I think you are pleased with me, right? So could you just reassure me of that, and I promise to take seriously this thing that you're displeased about. And then he says, yes, son. I think that you are wonderful. I have no idea what you're doing in a field in Poland. But yeah. We see you're making videos, and yeah, okay. Good boy. That's not really how he talks, but maybe. So yeah, let's just, you know, and then we can adapt to each other's programming. You know, someone says, you know, someone's having trouble at work, hey, I'm getting a bad vibe from you. And I'm racking my brain and I can't pinpoint like anything that when I say it out loud, all of my voices are like, oh yeah, that makes sense. This person did something wrong. I can't like figure out that thing. I thought I had. But then I said it with like a friend who's like really critical and skeptical and stuff. And they like pointed out that no, I couldn't really be mad at you for that. That was like a simple misunderstanding. You probably meant me no harm. So I want to let you know that, yeah, I'm sorry about that. I'm having trouble interpreting you in a good way. I don't know whether it's because you're black or whether it's because you're ugly or whether it's because I heard that your cousin went to prison. I don't know what it is. Or whether, it could be you stepped on my foot that one day and you didn't apologize. Oh, you did? I didn't hear you. Oh, okay. No, it's not that one. But yeah, So, you know, I want to just keep the communication channel clear. And I want you to know that if I may misinterpret something that you say. So if you say something and I feel a bit frustrated, I want to come to you with that. Say, hey, I feel like what you said was unfair. And then, you know, maybe we'll find out that I was misinterpreting it as unfair because I do have these like distrusting voices going of you, because some of my evolved as they did vibe checks voices, you know, aren't great. Imagine that world instead of the current reality. No. Stay away from him. No, you can tell he's, no. And then using the most inane act of the person, if you give any justification at all. You know, he came in late, and when he came in late, he was like, sorry. Can you believe that? He, like, didn't even, like, look at us. He was just like, sorry. The guy was hurrying to get into his uniform and was so embarrassed, and that's why he said it like that. But that's enough. You just talk about whatever comes to mind, maybe, when you think about how he doesn't pass the vibe check. So that's 2023. You know? He's not good. 2023 in our movies, every single movie character every bad person, turn on a movie, I'm sure you've already noticed this, turn on a scene in the middle of a movie you've never seen. In 30 seconds, you know who the bad guy is, right? No, I bet you within 10 seconds, I bet you within 2 seconds of looking at the main antagonist and the main protagonist's faces, they don't even have to be interacting, they don't have to be doing anything. No, let's do 10 in case they're really doing like nothing. So we have to see them interact with one person. We don't have to they don't have to express anything. And you will be able to tell me which is the good guy and which is the bad guy. I don't know whether writers are conscious of this, or whether it's just actors are like, oh, I'm the bad guy, then, and directors just like, yeah, that makes sense, he's the bad guy, so this is the only image of a bad guy that exists. Of course, none of these bad guys actually exist in the world, right? Nobody acts like that. And people who do act like that, who act a little bit awkward or weird, sometimes they're just autistic. They're not evil sociopaths. Okay? Sometimes they just have ADHD, or they're autistic, or they're just a little bit different, or they're from whatever. Okay? Or they're just different even in a neurotypical way, or there's just a misunderstanding or something. There's so many reasons. Anyway, okay. So 2023. Yeah, So politics. Political campaigning is going to change. Voting's going to change. Democracy, therefore, is going to change. Religion, we realize, this is the brain mechanisms that make you feel this is real. Okay, so, and then we're like, okay, I can't trust the brain, so I'm going to try looking at information. Oh, okay, so there's no information that says this? Oh, okay. All right, well, cool. So what does the information say? Oh, yeah, evolution. Okay, cool. Oh, yeah. Oh, Big Bang. Oh, that sounds complicated. All right, I'll just take your word for it. It's based on information, though, right? Not based on just those brain mechanisms, but based on, like, the best of your brain mechanisms interacting with the best of other people's brain mechanisms, and using technology to measure, and numbers and computers to compare, and the best rules and competition between the different ideas. Oh, it's the result of all that, not just like, oh, okay. All right, I'll take your word for it. Racism, gone. There will still be that reaction, but again, it'll be like, all right, guys. So as you guys notice, we've got a black person on the team. So welcome to the neighborhood. I hope we haven't been staring too much. The black person says, hey, who wants to touch my hair? Oh, I do, please. Yeah, no, actually, I feel really uncomfortable with that, but maybe after we get to know each other, because I know that you do have that urge. When we feel comfortable enough to hug, I'll let you give me a pat on the head. All right? But you have to say sir while you're doing it, otherwise that's gonna make me feel weird. All right? Oh yeah, absolutely. That sounds great. Okay, good. All right, so a couple of things to remember. We've all had the training. Just remember that we will possibly underestimate your intelligence. We will underestimate your capacity. We'll also, of course, associate you with things because you're the first. Well, not the first, but we all have friends. But we don't get many of you around here, if you know what I mean. And you're of course welcome, and we reiterate that, and we obviously really mean that. But yeah, yeah. All right, so we're gonna do a few exercises, guys. So all of the ladies in the room, please. You're gonna sit here. It's kind of like a musical chairs thing. Sit in a line, sit in the chairs. Okay, and all the women facing this way. Okay, good. Actually, Letitia, you don't need to do this exercise. Oh, I'm sorry. If you'd like to participate, please. Okay. All right. So everybody, all the women sitting in a line. Okay, and purses on the floor on your right side. Okay, open your purses. Hands on your lap, look ahead. All right, Jamal, go ahead and walk past them. Totally natural, ladies. Totally natural, ladies. Just keep your hands in your lap. Feel that feeling. Okay, now, ladies, please, Jerome, give him a smile. Look at Jerome. There we go. There we go. Look at your purses. Very good. Oh, we are silly for having that written in by the media. Of course, we're silly for we naturally evolved to want to know what the other was like, and it quickly. So, and especially threatening things. So anyway, all right. So we're gonna run that 20 more times. Is that good? And then of course, Jamal, you are paid extra for the fact that we have to do this. But no shame on us. We are humans. But we're just gonna do better. And then basically, that's called exposure therapy. And also, taking advantage of the mere exposure effect. You can get, you know what, fuck the time on this video, let's have fun. You can get, so by basically, and also this is no heed, no need, which is where if you don't heed an impulse, a voice, a judgment, whatever, so with the other voices, if they're able to boop it from grabbing the steering wheel, from delivering, then that voice is going to shrink. That's part of the biochemical setup of the brain. So that's cool. So as the women don't reach for the purses, as they don't even look, their amygdalas are going. So the voice systems and the amygdalas are going fear, apprehension. There's going to be a galvanic skin response, a little transpiration, very slight heart rate increase. Some of the women will perceive it, most will not. It also depends on how much of a reaction there is. But for everybody, there will be some reaction. Even for Letitia, thank you by the way, for participating so that I could make that point, everybody. Because even just a human walking by, and even Letitia, you have seen movies. And so, Jamal, unfortunately, there is an association. So. Right, and so no heed, no need. Then, I did it automatically because my voice does understand no heed, no need, and refute to mute so well. But then there's the refute to mute component. No, not really, actually. Kind of. Refute to mute is typically, I would say, when you wash your brain with information, when you go like this with information, so that your brain is cupping information and not its own instincts, but it's more responding to the information. And you say, black people are not actually thieves, for instance. Black people are not actually automatically threatened. You just keep like saying that, or no, yes. So it is a refute to mute, because no, it's not about the information, because that's not going to do much good. What you need to see is continuously see black people doing something other than whatever you generally see them portrayed as doing. And so that's going to be a refutation of mind. So the voice in the mind that has, or the voice system with these qualities with the black gentleman, are now just getting more information. So that's refuting, which is going to mute any, not animosity, any, antagonistic voices toward the black man from this voice system. So here what we did in the exercise was that smile. Okay. Oh shit. Now it's a very dangerous game. If it's not a good smile, it will backfire. If it will not, it's a good smile. Having a black man towering, because of course everybody in our minds, we're imagining a large black man, right? Especially now that I said black man, right? Especially the way that I said it, right? Because that's the image we have. Very few of us. Oh, and especially the name, right? Very few of us. I would be surprised if any of you were imagining a skinny dude in glasses. If you were, because maybe it was because it was an office setting. Well, was it an office setting? In my mind, it kind of was an office, but I don't know that it was in your mind. But anyway, I bet the image changed. By the time we were talking about this black man walking by I'm almost certain that in your mind, as well as mine, he had actually gotten very muscular. He actually didn't start as muscular at the beginning as he was by the time he was towering over these women, smiling like this. So that would backfire. That would backfire. That would backfire. He would need to change branches. Okay. Ah! Got it. Got it. Okay. So we're not going to trust the smile, because the smile, if we force a smile, it might look fake. And then, well, I mean, you know, if he's not feeling particularly happy in this moment, as he's being walked. Oh my God. I hadn't seen it that way. So if he's not feeling particularly happy for a nice Duchenne smile, then we're going to scrap the smile. What we're going to do is that they didn't look at their purses while he was walking by. They were meant to not check anything. But he dropped, and they know this, actually, they have to do this every time there's a new black employee or new whatever. So what he had done was dropped can't be a rose, because then that would feel like a sexual advance. He dropped... Wouldn't want it to be money, because then it's like, I know what you're thinking. It's like, oh, we put money in the purse, but we're not that reasonable. We would then still be associating black man, hand, money, purse, feeling of anxiety. You know, no. Something to make him less of a threat. It has to be a toy, some plush doll, a pen. It could be a pen. A little note introducing himself. Okay, and then at the end of this workshop activity that we have to do, because we're human brains and that's just what they evolved to be, and now we know that how they are, and so okay, so we adapt. Then of course everybody can do, at the end of the day, the person is like celebrated or something, I don't know, but not in like a weird way, or everybody has to apologize for the awkwardness, something, because even if the black dude knows that it's like a good thing to do, whatever psych exercises they've figured out to mute the strong in-group, out-group influence. Oh, but then as they work together, it's still gonna pop back up. And then he's just gonna report anytime that he thinks it's popped back up. And but ideally, of course, the perpetrators, whenever they've noticed. Oh fuck! I don't know. No. talking about something important. We talked about politics, religion. We were talking about racism and this terrible workshop that we have to do with everybody. Okay? Everybody. You, me, and it's not just a workshop where we learn about this. I mean, every time there is a condition, every time there is a change in conditions, where the new condition or a condition state is a condition of programming that is not actually adaptive, we need to learn something to adjust to it, for instance. So our friend Daniel, we'll call him instead, because if you didn't like Jerome or Jamal or whatever, Daniel is well, why not? Like Jimmy, it just felt wrong, didn't it? But is it for any good reason? Let's just call him Stephanie. No, let's call him Liz. Let's call him Liz. All right. So Liz is a new condition in an environment of human brains. And we know that human brains, how they respond to this new element in their environment. It is a condition of their conditional rules, and will trigger a response that we know that we don't like. We know why we evolved to react that way when someone different is in our territory. But hey, this is not actually our territory. Unfortunately, we can't just go like that, and our brain and all of our brain understands that. We're able to say the words. That doesn't mean that it's been integrated. This is not our territory, and he's not actually a member of the out group. He's a member of the in group. So we're gonna have to reprogram in preparation and in response to his arrival. And then we'll also need constant mechanisms in place. And then also a correction system. Now, of course, it goes the other way. We can't fully trust Liz's interpretive mechanisms. If he's the only black person in the office, every negative thing that happens to him, he is likely going to attribute to his race, and some of them are going to be attributed both his race, and some of them aren't. And we just can't know sort of which. I mean, we could study each case and go, okay, this one was, okay, this one was not. So here's what happens. Then Liz sits down. These are the afternoon sessions. Liz sits down, and all the white employees walk past him now. He's the one seated. They walk past him, and they look at him blankly. That's the instruction, to look at him blankly. And he's probably going to feel something to have these people staring at him blankly. And it's probably going to be more anxiety and more guard than he would feel if he saw members of his in-group. And I don't mean black people, because they're, two dudes in this city, looking at each other from across the street that don't know each other. They're not necessarily going, oh, hey, we're part of the same gang. They're not necessarily assuming that. But, if he's with people that he has identified as his in-group, then, sorry, that sounded like I was saying all black people are in gangs to you. But that was a flaw in your interpretation. My brain did, because my brain didn't want our brains going, Oh yeah, so anytime this guy sees a black dude staring at him blankly, he's gonna be fine? No, that was not the claim that I'm making. And a dramatic example of that is when two guys from rival gangs stare at each other. But no, I shouldn't have. I do regret it. But I don't think we're gonna edit this one, so. Anyway. Anyway, I can't believe Liz has never been in a gang, okay? Liz has never ever, doesn't even know anybody who's, right, Liz knows somebody who's been in prison. We all know someone who's been in prison. Anyway. And also, it's not a big deal. Like, people like go to, oh gosh, I don't know how to dig myself out. And I feel like I'm digging myself sideways. But it's giving me more room, but not more room to do anything. Not more room to get up and out. Alright, so we're just going to move on. Liz, our lovely Liz, who now has face tats. Oh gosh. He's sitting there and they're staring at him blankly, and he gets the same like oral thing that the women got when they were seated, and he has to process that feeling he feels as these people stare at him blankly, these people that he already feels different from and distant from, and so on. Now, maybe you've been thinking, I don't know how you kept watching, but maybe you've been thinking, well, but why are we having this day where we're like reminding of race? Well, if you're that dumb, sorry, if you understand that little, I'll respond to you quickly. Because we do see, and visual information is part of our interpretive process. There we go. Okay. So so we're not putting race into people's minds, but we are in some ways drawing attention to it. Now, it has not worked I don't think anywhere in the world to ignore it. But of course there is a limit, right? We're not going to, it's not going to be part of our program that in order to acclimate the employees to the new addition and to his racial identity, that we refer to him as Black Liz. Or it won't be that gosh, I don't know. I don't even remember what my point was, but no. But it's just enough to respond to the voices that we already know are gonna be active, and just measures in place. And I'm sure you could put measures in place to quickly counterbalance for all the talk about race that may have been getting that in-group, out-group voice real hyped. That in-group, out-group voice, that's right, teams. So it's true, discussion of race, reminder of the team, it's kind of a heating of the existence of the teams. Okay, so then what you have to do is, but you're only doing it in order to do all these other exercises that are going to reduce the in-group, out-group voice anyway, or keep it in check. So first of all, Liz absolutely is going to be telling us about his kids. He's going to be telling us about his dreams. And then all the white people are as well. No, I don't know. I'm just trying to avoid triggering your alarms where he's on exhibition, but I guess there's no avoiding that with the whole thing I've described. So, it does feel good to imagine this world with you, because it's fucking sucks. I've always been confused by the world, but now understanding what we are, that we are brains. We are the descendants of brains that were wired to survive the plains of Africa or some of their relatives for about 40 years. Bravo! Good programming, good brain! Luckily, you know, there are some cool, you know, things that we evolved, like metaphor, language, you know, certain, like, just side effects of other things that had already proven advantageous. You know, just the basic ability. Planning is obviously a survival thing. And basically, in order to plan, you gotta be able to, like, take, like, imaginary things and, like, go like this. And metaphor is, like, the next step. So a brain that gets kind of good at just taking imaginary things and going like this, seeing relationships between them, can then go, well, here's some things and some relationships between them. Here's some concepts, some imaginary things. And, well, it's not even, almost not even imaginary. Concepts are now, they are real effectors in our brain. And so, you know, before, this is all that was real. Now we have ideas. And so basically the prefrontal cortex developed, well, not for, but as the neocortex, and specifically the prefrontal cortex, like, was developing, those animals, those apes or whatever, with more of this, had more ability to plan things and won at life. Anyway. And then humans, you know, humans have a much more developed one, homos. And so it's great we're able to really put some shit together. We're able to really sling some shit together. Really throw feces. That's what I was trying to get you to think about. And also just imagine the things we've constructed, it's really shit. Like, I mean, we're just like one step above. I know it all looks so, well, not this, but you know, all the things we've invented, I know they look super pretty, but humans are basically no different from they were in the Stone Age. It's just like certain ideas, fire, capturing electricity, they did over time develop into, and then when you gain some perspective, you're like, wait a minute. Even after like hundreds, well, no, it is a marvel. It is a marvel. It is a marvel. But objectively, I don't think it is. I mean, when we think about it, I bet there's other species that did it faster. I mean, there's nothing to show you here, thank God. But all this shit, well, yeah, it's amazing. But also intellectually. But like, yeah, there are some people that had some good engineering ideas. And just little tiny ones on top of other people's little tiny ones, little glimpses of, or finally little moments when the sum of the shit brain was something good, and we're benefiting from those people. But and even those people aren't that different from us, right? So me, although sometimes I like to think of myself as the Messiah, I realize that I'm contributing very, very little. It's mostly, you know, well, and thank God, because otherwise then I wouldn't be able to be so confident that it's true. But you know, it's these people, and I'm just in a position to be able to obsess over it and make it my focus and refuse to adapt into Windows, whatever you guys are running right now, whatever OS you guys are running right now, whatever illusion you guys are maintaining right now. Okay, no, it's bullshit. And there are lots of people, millions of people besides me currently, and millions in history who have also been like, and a lot of people who are doing the thing, because we're all of us are pretty much the same, who have been like, but they just continue to do it because that isn't sort of loud enough, or they are able to exist in that world, and so why the fuck not? Why go spend a week? Well, spend a week, man. I've been living like this for a year. 2 years before that, I was in a tent. Why do that when you can, live in that world? And yeah, it's cool, but it's just shit. And so there are a lot of people who are only half asleep, who have snapped out of it. No, bullshit. Because I don't want you to think you're one of them. Yes, there are people who are truly just like asleep in every way, just totally naive, taking everything for granted. And then there are people who are like, but usually they're misguided. So you have a lot of that's a lot of conspiracy theorists. It's a lot of I don't know, just a whole bunch of it's a mixed bag of things, but because none of them have self-awareness, it's pretty much all bad, actually. Yeah, no, it's all bad. So even the people who are not asleep, who are like, oh, there's a problem in the world, the way things aren't the way things they need to be, that's kind of where they stop. And it just becomes a lot of, this is bad, and we're gonna get the message out that bad, but their brains aren't really any better, so it's not like they really have solutions or even really understand what the problems are. But good on them, because we do see some bad results from whatever the problem is, and so yeah, good. Speak up, put pressure on the government, the states and corporations and stuff. Okay, great. But then there's some people that have been forced to just, society won't even let me in the front door. I tried. I keep getting kicked out. That's my case. And I guess it wasn't really until after that I started to realize, after I stepped out, I started to realize that when I looked up at the stars and looked back at where I was, I went, oh my gosh, those were stars I was looking at were painted on the ceiling. Of course, these stars could also be painted just on what seems to be a higher ceiling. But it could be lower, because I actually can't reach that ceiling any more than I could reach this one. Gosh. So, I just want to, for every one of you fools who was cheering along, or like cheering during this video, going, oh yeah, the sheep were awake. Fuck you, no we're not. Fuck you. Fuck makes you think we're awake? I'm just in another, yes, there have been people who were raised maybe in a religion and woke up realizing, oh, that's not real. Okay. Whatever space whatever ideological or whatever space they stepped into was not now reality. It was just now a reality that no longer included that. It is what it gets me about. So conspiracy, I don't like talking about conspiracy theorists, because I'm sure conspiracies can exist. But whoever, blah, 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 those people, they go, I love the look in their eyes. And religious people as well, especially like New Age ones. Gosh, it's creepy as hell. Wait, what was I saying? Religious, and who was the first group? Who was the first group? It was religious people, the look in their eyes, because what situation? Oh, and then also anybody who knows anything about meditation. So people who are hard and good in meditation, religious people, and like flat earthers. Okay. They had this impression that they've woken up. Out of those, if anybody has their eyes a little bit open, it would be the meditation. But they're also telling me they've got some stuff in their eyes, and they're describing things that just aren't there. But all of these people, because that's part of our programming. We have, I don't know why right now, but we, I think, have evolved with a voice to for this situation of, because it's always the same look. They always have to talk the same way, the same sort of confidence, the same kind of condescension, and also like they really do. You don't maybe hear it because you're like they're crazy, but no, when you listen to them, they really are reasonable. They're wrong and they're not reasonable, but they're as reasonable as any human being. And they'll say, honestly, yeah, when I was in science class, I really thought that stuff, and I thought that those flat earthers, were absolutely nuts, But then, I looked into some things, and I started reading more and more into it, and, and I was very skeptical at first, and I would, I know you don't believe me, but I was very skeptical at first, and I talked to some people, and I listened to a bunch of videos, and here's this guy, I think you might like him, because he's from your country, and you should check him out. And he explained it really well, and fucking, there's just no going back, man. But no, I know it's hard, and yeah, absolutely, sort of, but that's intentional that you see the world like that. So I absolutely could be that guy. I could say, oh yeah, oh the soul, oh ha 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 ha. Oh yeah, you think you understand things. No, actually we are brains, and the brain is made for you to, or is programmed such that you won't look behind the curtain and see see the truth and realize the truth behind the illusion. But yeah, that's how it is, and I know it's hard. I was skeptical at first. I was like, but humans are reasonable, but we think, and blah blah. But then I read some books, and hey, I think you should check this guy out. I'm that fucking guy. The truth is that, I'm not that guy, because I'm desperate. I'm so fucking confused by why nobody will believe me. I'm not going to conferences going, oh yeah, those silly round earthers. I'm going to conferences. I went to a critical thinking conference where nobody was self-aware that I talked to. Nobody knew they were a brain. Oh fuck, I'm desperate. I'm making these videos. I'm absolutely desperate. Now, if you find me a flat earther that's like me, that's saying that his interpretive processes are wrong, because I'm saying mine are wrong, that everybody's are wrong, but that the evidence seems to indicate this. And by the way, he also, it does help if his Bible is written by a psychologist. His Bible about the human mind is written by and not his Bible, because he's actually, there are some things he disagrees with in it, with Daniel Kahneman, or things, let's say, we've learned since. But if my sort of the central book to the timeline of my understanding of the mind was written by a psychologist who won the Nobel Prize in Economics for a theory about the mind. These aren't fringe sources. Praise for Rolf Dobelli in the international bestseller, The Art of Thinking Clearly. These aren't fringe sources here, so you don't have to trust me. So, okay, I'm that guy. There's no difference. So, first of all, I don't know who. So if you have a flat earther who is saying that his own interpretive processes are wrong, and that despite that, he thinks that his interpretive processes are doing better than the math, and he thinks that he's discovered this thing and that the Earth is flat. and he's got the explanations for all, and he's just, you know, and nobody's listening to him. Okay, let's listen to that guy, you know. But oh, sorry, not just that he has the explanations. It would be cool if he had a little information, and, you know, was able to explain it. And then, yeah, that's what being empirical is, you know. Choose based on the information, you know. Hey, maybe I'm just another crazy person. I was talking to this guy the other day, and I was telling him, you know, we're programming, whatever. That's the term I like to use. I think it's easy to understand that we are just a list of programs, and it just gets executed, it's just running, and that's it. And he goes, could be. And then he said something to me about, he talked to me, but like in a way that was comparing me to this person. Talked about this guy who believes that all government officials have demons in them, maybe, or something like that. And then he said, and then at one point he said, hey, that programming thing is interesting, man. Yeah, maybe. I mean, but and I'll think about it. Maybe I'll go one day, oh, Harris is right, you know. Hey, it could be anything, man. Some people think that we're in a matrix, man. So yeah, maybe. Hold on. Sorry. What the fuck are you talking about? Okay, maybe what I'm saying sounds crazy. I mean, it's literally not crazy. It's just that you are a brain. I mean, the evidence is clear as day, but don't listen to me. Just look at the evidence. Anyway, all right. So when we're self-aware, we'll take evidence more seriously. We'll realize, we'll go, oh yeah, I have all these beliefs, but you know how many books I've read on the subject? Well, no, I mean, I'm just among other humans. 0, yeah, you knew, yeah. But no, I have seen a bunch of Facebook posts and articles, and honestly, they were written by some. And honestly, no, I mean, it's pretty obvious. Also, I thought about it, but then I realized that I can't trust my mechanism. So I was like, oh, okay, so I was like, oh, I'm gonna abstain on that question. So the mission is clear. I just have to put 1 billion videos on YouTube, and it's guaranteed with 1 billion, it's guaranteed that one of my videos gets the right person or people going, oh shit, am I a brain? Oh shit, is every thought that I'm having just neurons reacting to previous neurons? Oh shit, is being awake an illusion? Oh shit. Wait, so does that mean that, because it's not like I can just like be awake on this matter and then, so that my neurons would just stop running and hand over control to some other thing that doesn't exist. So all of my thoughts in the future are going to continue to be these neurons. So how do I like, oh, so I just have to like learn what some of the programs are and then try to commit myself as much as possible to information, constantly be reminding myself of the confirmation bias. Oh fuck, it's gonna be hard to be a human. Oh, it's not hard to be a human? If I want to be a human, I could just go live outside like humans evolved to do. Yeah, it's hard to be a human who has the responsibility to go like this and kill someone. It's hard to be a human who is interacting with strangers all the time, who has to think about this paper thing, money, these numbers, who has to, all this other stuff that you want in your society. That's hard. Got to earn that. Okay. Basic example is like, I don't even know how to take the metro or bus, that 90% of us are gonna get onto a train before we let people off. Gonna walk on the left, are gonna walk in the middle, or just gonna have a conversation, a full fucking group in the middle, because we didn't evolve to really share confined public spaces. We didn't evolve to share high traffic paths. Where you can't just like see a friend and then just stop in the middle. We didn't evolve like for highways, so every time I see something, my brain is turning my neck like this, or it is working extremely hard against itself not to turn the neck because it's like, don't be a rubbernecker. In which case, there's very little attention being paid to this act of speeding up, because that requires focus to commit to speeding up. Oh shit, and so then there's going to be traffic jams and all that because we just don't know how to share public spaces. Oh, road rage, yeah. Oh, okay. Okie dokie, so it's going to require a lot of training if I want to live that artificial life. Now, you people are all about your intuition. You want to keep things natural? Join me, bro. I'm going to keep it a little bit unnatural just because I gotta publish videos and stuff, so I need electricity. But I guess we could all use this. Yeah, oh my gosh. Check this out, bro. All of us, we're gonna all set up camp here. This thing is absolutely full of fish, gigantic fish. When the first night I was here, there were these two fishermen. They showed me these photos that they've gotten of these fish. Well, probably about the size of this vehicle. Here, in this river, okay? We've got fish. We can do some gardening. Shade. In there, it's lovely. It's not thick at all. It's amazing because it looks so thick right now. And then you walk just past that brush there, and it's like a little shaded kingdom, I swear. So that's pretty cool. Apparently campsite fires are allowed. We're able to keep warm. And we can have communities like this all over the world. Should get used to, because we're not going to have an executive bathroom, are we? Okay. Oh wait, did I just invite a whole bunch of people who want to stick with their default natural programming here? That was wrong. I did not mean to do that. Because I have sometimes imagined, I would love to live more naturally. I've imagined that kind of community. My brain got confused. I was talking about a natural community. That other natural community spoke up, was like, oh, yeah, that'd be cool. We could do this area. But that's not the actual, no, do not come. No. So you want to be natural. You don't want to you want to have only systems and institutions in place for which you evolved, right? Regardless of what you want, actually, the self-aware community, we will decide that for you, because why the fuck would we give you, like, a non-self-aware human? Why would we let you have nuclear weapons or any kind of weapons besides your fists and whatever thing you can whittle? Why would we? It would be morally irresponsible of us. I mean, have you ever given a gun to an ape? Have you ever would you give the nuclear football to a well-trained dog who's been well-trained by a gorilla? No, you wouldn't. So if you want to take the easy route, be all intuition and natural and stuff like that, feel free. I know it feels good, and I know a lot of us are going to vacation, and you can absolutely vacation in the institutions. You can come visit us in the self-aware world. Obviously, we have certain rules. You're allowed to believe whatever you want, and you're allowed to talk about your beliefs however you want. You are not allowed to act in accordance with any non-approved beliefs. So if you have sacrificing children, if you have castration, those are some if you have like, interference with same-sex love, if you have any sort of things like that, that's not allowed here. But, you are allowed. And you can even, we have in the center of town a protest square where you can be heard. And you can hold up your sign and do whatever. There you go. And yeah, so yeah, two natties could be like, hey, honey, you want to go see a moving picture tonight? Okay, let's go into the city. I think it would be pretty much free passage, right? I mean, would there need to be security concerns? No, of course there would be. Oh no, of course there would be. Natural people are barbaric, and they follow all of their natural instincts of entitlement and manifest destiny and domination and pillaging and everything. Oh, so yeah, it would have to be a very secure border. But our security technology would be so advanced that we would have an eye on you at every moment anyway. Only viewed by an AI, but yeah. Cool. Yeah, come into the city. Can't believe that I am now imagining myself in the city between these two options. But I admit that because before it was going to be all the stupid humans with the stupid illusions. So you can stay in the city if you want to just, or not even the illusion, just people who want to do a job, who want to fill someone else's need. No, who want to fill, not who's want to fill someone else's need, who need a fucking task assigned. They stay in the city and they do the task from 9 to 5, and then they can enjoy the luxuries of the city. Whereas the artists and philosophers, we would be out here and we would be fed by the people of the city. They send out food and basic necessities, but just the basics. They pay for that with their taxes. Other than that, we live much more naturally, much, more frugally. We don't, and it's a more, and then we just think and stuff, and then. When we have a script, one of the city agents comes out. Oh, this is good. Hey, yeah, so there's someone, see that hill over there? That guy was thinking about directing. So, get us, and I think, and there's actually, I want to run auditions in the city, see whether there's any city people we can convert. Because I want some fresh talent. We're allowed to have one in this film, one city person, so. I want to try to get that to make it real, because none of these people know anything about a refrigerator. Oh no, none of these people know anything about a refrigerator. A refrigerator, is it? Oh, okay, yeah, no, none of these people. We don't know anything about that. So anyway, so give me this is my third time in the city. I still forget how to say it, but yeah, give me. And then if this goes through, we'll probably need like 3 months visas because we're going to shoot a lot of the scenes in the city. Because the city is a huge part of the audience, right? Of course, there are viewings, there's art out here. So there is technology out here with a lot of different things. Not a lot of different things. There are screens. There because we need art and we need inspiration and we need. But in a self-aware world, so let's imagine that the near future, artists and philosophers are out in the nature, and then we lead the revolution on the sheep. Okay? Right now, when I say we, it's only me. You are not a part of this. But if you send me a message desperate to understand how your mind works, and what to do about these mechanisms that you can no longer trust the sum of. Okay. You're going to be part of the we. Sweet. So then we will lead the thing. We will destroy all those stupid institutions that, because, the city people, they're going to have terrible. I mean, obviously they're not going to have a homeless problem because a lot of the homeless are out here with us. But they do have, obviously, a whole bunch of problems with inequality, all this stuff, right? So we're going to go in there. We're going to squash that. Got some people on the inside who pulled the short stick, in their deal. So, I got this guy. He's got a real shit job and just, he's just blah, blah, generations of, poverty in this area and whatever. Anyway, so he's going to help us out, overthrow, because of course they're not self-aware, so it ended up being, there was a 1% and blah, blah, anyway, and overthrow them. And then you're going to have some people that are going to want to stay in nature. All of the non-self-aware people are going to be ejected into nature. Our cities will be more natural, more green, less concrete anyway. So because I don't want to be in a city. But it'd be cool to be in a civilization. A green civilization. And then I wouldn't have to be out here in nature. I would like to be in a civilization of self-aware people. I would like to be, yes. So then you and I, after you've sent me that message, we will do a whole bunch of reading, a whole bunch of philosophizing, figure out a whole bunch of ways to constantly keep ourselves in check, remind ourselves that all this thinking that we're doing, that's just human brains. And then, we'd take over the city, expand the city limits to include some of the nature in case the city isn't green. Why don't we just put like in deserts in Australia? Oh, why am I talking about a city? We have a whole globe. Because I'm imagining just like the story of a film. So I'm keeping this local. Okay, Australia. Okay, all deserts and all islands, except for certain ones that have been kept for living in vacation of self-aware people. That's where we send the non-self-aware. Of course, we don't send them the conditions. We're not going to send a non-self-aware Swede to Australia. There have been some recent things in his evolution and make it so that he is not adapted to that. Okay, so we will keep Norway. Up there, the fjords. How many, though? I think Swedes they're pretty good intellectual culture, right? Like how many? No, there would be a lot. I was wondering on that island Svalbard, if you could put the non-self-aware people there. It's a climate that's so cold, right? Oh, there's so many islands. The Netherlands, Denmark, Norway, Finland, this whole area, Sweden, all this whole area has a whole bunch of islands, right? The UK. So all blue-eyed, all fair-skinned, non-self-aware people, it would be in the Northern Islands. We'd put all, since they don't have self-awareness, we want to give them some chance of not all killing themselves. We probably should segregate them. So we'll put all brown Latin Americans somewhere, all white Latin Americans somewhere, natural, all brown, blah blah, somewhere. We'll do all North Africans, so Arab, Muslims somewhere, and should we? No, fuck it. Black Muslims, just do it somewhere else, I think. Yeah. Then you can do Black African Christians. You could have a Trump state. Anybody who just liked Trump. It's a pretty unifying thing. They could all have Greenland. And then you'd have your East Asians, you'd have your South Asians, you keep your Pakistanis, you could put them with the Arabs, maybe. I actually don't know enough. Don't know anything about India in Southeast Asia, or South Asia and Southeast Asia, maybe they could all occupy like the I mean, obviously there's a lot of people in India, but you know, I don't know how many people are going to refuse to acknowledge their nature. Anyway, of course, I don't know when this is going to happen. You know, it depends on when you send me the message, depends on when we get some of the finances together. But whenever it does happen, whatever the groups are at that point, the most important group titles, of course there will always be conflict, there will always be subgroups, or there will be that, okay, on this plane I am part of this group, but on this other plane I am part of this group and you are part of that group, and no. But we'll just do the best we can with whatever we know about religions and cultures and nationalities and languages at the time of the separation. Brilliant. Great. I am so excited for this future where I will be a member of society. So excited. Absolutely thrilling. Fortunately, it's not, I won't actually see it. But I think it's 100% going to happen. But 99% within the next millennium. So, and that's cool. And maybe this video will be dug up somewhere, and just one person in 2,000 years will have the thought, hey, you know how we always talk about how people in the past were so stupid and didn't know anything and like had all this stuff and blah 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 and believed all these crazy things and like didn't have any sort of humility about their program and blah blah blah. Check this out. Yeah, if only people had heard him then. But as you know, we only achieved self-awareness 700 years ago with World War X. Actually, probably wouldn't be a war, would it? It'd probably have to be a prophet. It would be that the war, or it could be a war, is why the world falls into total disarray. And then it'd probably be a prophet. Humans love prophets. We've had a bunch of them. Unfortunately, I was born in the right time. If I had been born in a time when the world had fallen into disarray, I'd be your guy. But I was born a little too early. So hopefully some charming fella whose circumstance made him lucky enough for his interpretive mechanisms, the right ones, to be slapped in the right way to deliver some basic understanding of something, which he then said to someone, and then that person was inspired to one tiny step further, and then at some point there's a man or a woman to represent the lineage of this ideas. When she puts it together, or when she just puts in the last piece, where she's just charming enough to get people to hear her, and Liz leads the reconstruction, or not the reconstruction, the reimagining, which leads to a construction of a self-aware human society. So that's what happened 700 years ago. And gosh, if they listened to Eris back, 1900 years ago, holy smokes. They listened to Eris over 1900 years ago, because it was right at the, holy shit, about 1,000 years. What? It's about 2,000 years ago. Oh, it's 4,000 is their year, okay. About 2,000 years ago, holy smokes. And he was saying, because when I grew up, Jesus was 2,000 years ago. So it wasn't true for everybody exposed to the Christian faith, but everybody who's watching this video, Jesus was like 2,000 years ago. Except for you two young ladies who are watching this in the year 4000. Yes! Do me a favor. I have a bunch of these videos. And this is not exactly like my personality or, you know, whatever. Obviously, there are different voices being slapped by talking to a camera. But I have a lot of audio recordings, journal entries, but, you know. Can you recreate me? So I can see how you got. Because I haven't been realizing, I keep going farther and farther with this self-awareness, realizing that all these deep thoughts I thought I had, yeah, they've been cool, and yes, they've been better, but they haven't been this pure reason. I've never stepped into reality. I am always, and I will always be, other humans, future humans won't be, but I will always be this brain. There's no such thing as waking up, honestly. But you can wake up just to the reality that you are a brain, that you are asleep. How about that? I just want you to wake up that you are asleep. That's all. We're all asleep. We just need to wake up to that. We're all NPCs. We just need to realize that, and then the brain is a physical thing. The file is like right here, and the file does respond to the environment. It does have learning capacity, so I think we can rewire our characters. But yeah, so all right, so there we go. That's the hashtag, by the way. I am an NPC. And that's what I want. That's the whole point of this video. The only thing I have to do is scream in a whole bunch of different languages, volumes, and frequencies that we are NPCs. And I swear to God, somewhere, something is gonna crack. And all of my failures have just been attempts. Not attempts. It's not like I'm going for this target and I keep missing it. No. I'm just throwing darts. I couldn't possibly know the correct way to say this to trigger you to your self-awareness. I don't know that much about our programming where I can know, like, okay, if I put these words in this order, presenting evidence at this time, presenting it in this way, it doesn't even need to be evidence, just have to actually use a number at this point. I should have a joke at this point. Oh, and then what if I don't give the punchline to the joke until after the evidence has been given, so then when they laugh at the joke, the programming basically thinks it's validating the evidence. Brilliant. Because so while they're waiting for the evidence and the argument or the conclusion to just, oh yeah, because you're not really evaluating anything I'm saying. Basically, it's just like, does that feel right or feel wrong? Basically, sometimes it's a little bit more specific. Did that specific thing that he said feel right or feel wrong? And so what I can do is I'll tell them that I have a piece of evidence. Then I'll build up to it. And during that build up, I'll give them the setup for a joke. And then as they're waiting at the same time for both the evidence and the punchline for the joke, and they're eager, and maybe their wait for the punchline, if I contrive it correctly, the wait for the punchline will be stronger than the apprehensive wait for the evidence that might challenge them. So they might have a more of an eagerness in their wait more than apprehension because they're eager about the punchline. Okay? Then I hit them with the evidence and I hit them with the punchline, and while they are laughing immediately, I hit them with the evidence. They get a little bit distracted from their wait for the punchline. They are thinking about it. So their voices are a bunch of them are just going this or this, and some is about to happen. And in that split second, I tell them the punchline of the joke. Now, boom, in the brain. A really loud one. And then any thumbs up that were going when he was thinking about what I was saying, I mean, when everybody was voting, they're going to now get on board with this big laugh thumbs up. And then they will accept it. And then I have to put in the request at some point, or I should have already put it in. But I didn't want to put in with it. You know, I could try to figure that out. I don't think I would, though. It would require a lot of testing. But instead of doing that, I don't have to pay anything for YouTube server space. So I'm just going to keep saying the same thing over and over again. I swear to God, that's literally all I have to do. Because people already agree. A lot of people already agree with me. Oh, critical thinking, good thing. Reason, good thing. Science, good thing. Now, sometimes it's easy to get them to flip on that. About reason, about any of those things. But like in general, there are voices in every human that are like, hey, reason's cool, facts are cool, science is cool. You know, humility is good. All I have to do is get you to realize that that's not your state. And not just like not your automatic state where when you feel like you are present, then now you are no longer in your automatic state. No. You are in your automatic state. Right now, you are in your automatic state. I am in my automatic state right now. We've always been in our automatic state. We can maybe try to change our automatic state with time and practice. But this is the way the neurons are right now. So knowing that, because right now, people could maybe better imitate reason because we have a lot of the right values. A lot of people have the right sort of values. It's just that they think that they're already doing it. They think that just by valuing reason or using the word science, that they are somehow scientific or faithful to empiricism. And also it's just that they just don't know that their interpretive mechanisms are wrong. And so when they look at information, what answer comes to mind is not necessarily something that can be, well, it's not something that can be relied on. So all the pieces are there. Not for everybody. There are a lot of people that are just, you know, like, oh no, intuition, energy, higher consciousness, church, Trump, whatever. Gotta shake a man's hand to know him. Oh, I'm really good at judging people. I can look at someone. Usually, I know if they're all those people. They can fuck off to the islands that we don't deem worthy enough for living and vacation. Sorry, what was I saying? But then the other people. I was saying, like, not those people. Then, shop out these, like, videos, YouTube server space, programming. Yeah, so if we have that knowledge that we are minds, and we also have those values that, oh, science, good, understanding world, good, truth, good, trying to keep oneself in check by accepting the error-prone interpretive systems, or our not maladaptive interpretive systems. And so now we're going to communicate. We're going to work together with other people on our beliefs. We're going to work with the information on our beliefs. So what was I going to say about them? Or did I just say it? Okay, let me try again. YouTube server. Just making attempts. Anyway, whatever. So, just such a fucking basic idea. It's so stupid. It's so stupid. Look at me right now. Look at me. Okay? This is my hand. Okay? Okay? If I did that, I didn't expect that to be as sharp as it was. If I did that, it would change it would have an effect on me. It would not change any of my interpretive or whatever processes, really. Okay, test completed. That's not Eris. Okay. Let's try here. If I damage this. Oh, not Eris. Oh, damage. What if I damage this? Oh, well, Eris no longer is happening. Okay, so maybe this is where Eris is. Okay, what if I damage this? Whoa, something weird just happened. The body, this stuff, is still going, but there's clearly no Eris. So there's no interpretation, there's no Eris. There's nothing that we would consider Eris except for just the body going like this. Every time we, shock it. Ah, interesting. But when we did that, there was also no Eris. But right now what's interesting is that, because what if Eris needs the body, but the body doesn't need Eris? Which would explain why when I did this, both stopped. But when I did this, there was like some sort of, like he was still breathing maybe, but everything else was gone. Okay. Oh shit, what happened? A rod went through here and all of a sudden he was acting like that with people. He was much more crude, much more offensive. He was no longer this polite, reserved man. Oh my gosh. So what? So this part of me must be like inhibition and stuff like that? Okay. Wait, what? He hit the back of his head and he went blind? Oh, so this part is like interpreting. Oh, okay, cool. Hey, I noticed that my dog, he has the exact same way of looking at a female that I told him not to go and bother as I do. Like, he keeps, like, he has his head straight ahead. No, better. He handles potential threats the same way I do. Like, he doesn't look right at them, but he keeps checking at them. Oh yeah, and flesh. I'm an animal, okay, right, obviously. Stupid of me to ever think anything else. Okay, so then I've got some of this. We have some of the same programming, okay. I went from wanting to just very simply... How can I prove it to you? Is the only way that I could prove... No, how could I prove... Doesn't that scare you that, like, there's no way for me to prove it to you? Isn't that scary? Doesn't that make you think, oh, there must be something wrong with that brain if there's no way for me to, like, prove to you that you are a brain? Because all the evidence is out there. What do you think is sending these signals? I know you want to make up some other thing that's pulling the strings. It's not in my fucking butt. It's not here. Obviously, there's interaction here. I don't understand. I don't understand why it's so confusing. I do understand. But it's so incredibly sad. Because I'm starting to relate to connect with you, feel like we're all humans here talking, chatting. And when I say humans, I mean in the magical sense of we are understanding, intelligent beings. And then I remember how people have serious conversations with me in which they put forth the alternative opinion that they are not brains. That's what I live in. I'm glad I didn't realize it any sooner. And because now the conversations are actually really hard with people. Now that I've really like zeroed in on this, okay, let's just the minimum of self-awareness. I was on the phone with a guy the other day. He gave me in like 2 minutes his background. Of course, I ended up talking for a few minutes. Telling him my story for a few minutes. Ended up telling him, my mission is to teach people we can't just remember, blah, blah, blah. But then at the end, I thought I ended it with something really powerful. So I'm just trying to get humans to become self-aware to realize, because I've never seen anyone achieve self-awareness. I've never met anyone who's self-aware who was just like, I am a brain, and it, was designed by, or not designed by, but it was It is the result of environmental pressures on the human genome or on genomes in general, and on nucleotides in general, until I'm the descendant of whatever. And I thought, I mean, that's silly. How is that possible? Maybe I'm phrasing it wrong. Because surely right now he's going to say, oh, I mean, I know that, like, I'm a brain. And I've set the bar too low, I made it too easy. And he goes, all right. And so as far as traveling together, what countries are you thinking of going to? And we were done with the getting to know each other part of it. I don't fault him at all. I really like this guy and I hope to travel with him. So if he's by any chance watching this, do not take offense. But it was just a kind of a weird moment. It wasn't particularly painful. It's not like I had a bunch of hope. But yeah, in that moment, I had an expectation that he was going to go, no, yeah, that sounds right. Yeah, I agree with that. Or something like that. I wouldn't like that he said I agree with that because he didn't read that somewhere. But if he wanted to say, oh, I accept that. Okay, yeah, cool. Or, yeah, I think I did something I kind of knew, but I didn't have, okay, yeah. Yeah, he could tell me he agrees with that. That'd be okay. And it didn't happen. And it's every time I have this conversation, I think it's gonna be so simple. I think I'm just gonna be like sharing some experiments. Hey, look what we learned about the human brain. We are a brain, and like if you like change part of it, like it changes the behavior of the person. And also our interpretations aren't good. It was just evolution that designed them. They're totally natural. Not good. I always expect. I am confused every time the conversation isn't over 10 seconds later. Every time it isn't after I tell them about some experiment. Wow, okay, holy shit. That's startling. Okay, so I'm just a brain. Right, and every time I feel like I'm being reasonable, whatever, it's just the neurons that millions of years of evolution put together are just firing. As evolution and as my stupid experiences in my media determine them to fire. Holy shit. Oh my god. But every time they either contradict the experiments, they say, no, that experiment's not real. They don't literally say that, but they offer these alternative explanations. They say that there's more than one truth. They say, or I just hit the same, or something similar to the same block I'd hit when I was a kid when I was talking to people about religion and trying to understand why the hell they were so sure of it. And it's just like a shrug. It might have long words attached to it, but it's basically just a shrug. Or it might have some emotive words attached to it. Powerful words like faith, choice, maybe a nice confident regard. Or maybe a faux open, or a useless open-mindedness. Oh, could be, yeah, man. But hey, you gotta stay open-minded. There's lots of possibilities. Yes, there's lots of possibilities, and here's what the probability is. Here's what the evidence indicates is most probably true. It's incredibly sad. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. Put a comment saying, Eris, what are you talking about? You think you're so special. That's your human voice automatically feeling special, which we all have, and just as an individual, your self-serving bias, which thinks of your own ideas in more favorable light. Well, I would tell you, I don't know, because I tend to be very credulous, very, tend to defer judgment to other people in a lot of ways. But sometimes the evidence is just so staggering. Anyway. All right, I hear you. Okay, yeah. Yeah, put a comment. Say that, here's what happened. People accused me of being not a bunch of people and nothing formal. But people, I didn't pass the vibe check for a lot of people in my life. And got into some funny situations because of it. and some very bizarre interpretations of my behavior. And I was like, well, what do I do now? Either I have to accept that I'm a terrible person, which, a few people have said, or I have to, not people who've known me, okay? Or, but, people who had met me and spent some time with me. I've got another idea. Why don't I just concoct this fantasy where humans are not reasonable, where their interpretive mechanisms are wrong? Of course. Oh my gosh. That solves everything. And people always associate me with reading about the brain because since I have ADHD, I've been interested in the brain. And now maybe they'll think like I'm an authority on the brain. Now I'm just going to go to them and I'm going to tell them, hey, your interpretive mechanisms are wrong. And now anytime somebody says that I'm being mean, I can just tell them, oh no, you don't have a good vibometer. You don't have a good vibe checker. And also, I just don't have sort of the same programming as you socially. So there's just like a lot of stuff that you would expect to happen socially that I'm not going to give you, or that you wouldn't expect to happen that I'm going to give you. Not things that are bad, but things that will violate your social expectations, and things that you may associate with things that are bad. But no harm. So can we agree no foul then? Can we agree on no foul then? Yeah, your interpretive mechanisms are bad. They evolve. You're a caveman. Just trust me. Books. All right, but the thing is, if that's the case, does that mean that I'm making this up? Come on. Does that mean that I'm making this up? You are not so smart. Why your memory is mostly fiction. Why you have too many friends on Facebook, and 46 other ways you're deluding yourself. In this international bestseller, not that, necessarily. In this international bestseller, award-winning journalist David McRaney, who's written some great stuff about ADHD, by the way, examines the assorted ways we mislead ourselves every single day. A psychology course with all the boring bits taken out. Prepare for a whirlwind tour of the latest research in the subject, fused with a healthy dose of humor and wit. You'll discover just how irrational you really are. Oh, I should be showing you because maybe I'm making it up. Let's read together. Read with me. Do you want to read along? I'll count to 3 and then we'll read. All right, I got to get in position first. Okay. Can you see it? See, I don't feel like... Why is that? All right, you can read it though, right? In this, lamp. Okay, and so if I go like this, yeah, that's fine. That's okay. Okay. In this international bestseller, award-winning journalist David McRaney examines the assorted ways we mislead ourselves every single day. A psychology course with all the boring bits taken out. Prepare for a whirlwind tour of the latest research in the subject, fused with a healthy dose of humor and wit. You'll discover just how irrational you really are, which delusions keep you sane, how to boost your productivity, and why you've never kept a New Year's resolution. Oh shit. Anybody who's ever kept a New Year's resolution, or thinks that they have, or kept it for a little longer than they expected, has just disqualified them and thinks that they are now better than others. Let's look at Benaji again. Just one more time. We're just going to look at one liner now. Oh, actually, there's another chapter. The next chapter... Metaphors are in the mind. No, okay, we're not going to spend time on that because we haven't read it yet, and I don't think that that's... Let's go to Benaji. We love Benaji, don't we? Our bounded rationality. The view of human nature that is evolves over... Oh, do you want to know who he is? Richard Clark Cabot, professor, social ethics, Department of Psychology, okay? The view of human nature that has evolved over the past 4 decades has systematically changed the explanation for who we are and what we do, why we do what we do. We are error-prone in the unique ways in which we are. The explanation goes not because we have malign intent, but because of the evolutionary basis of our mental architecture, the way in which we learn and remember information, the way in which we are affected by those around us, and so on. The reason we are boundedly rational is because the information space in which we must do our work is large compared to the capacities we have, including severe limits on our... Well, I don't like the word conscious. But anyway, that's what he says. These are all bestsellers, by the way. Hasn't made a fucking difference, has it? All right, now, we are all guilty of cognitive biases, simple errors we make in day-to-day thinking. But by knowing what they are and how to identify them, we can't, I don't know that we can avoid them, but we can catch them immediately after, maybe. And we can also put measures in place to compensate for them. We can avoid them and make better choices. The art of thinking clearly shows that in order to lead happier, maybe you could avoid it. You could put in, add new voices to counteract voices. Yeah. No, but even, I mean, correlation to causation, I know that, but I promise you show me correlation, and there's a part of my brain that's going, oh, cool, causation. So, yeah, I don't think you can really... The art of thinking clearly, but I mean, then if you, maybe if I take it, yeah, no, but I would just immediately, if you ask me, hey, choose, I would say, yeah, clearly get rid of that because of the causation. And then if you're like, oh, yeah, causation, then I'd go, oh, shit, yeah, correlation doesn't mean causation. The art of thinking clearly shows that in order to lead happier, more prosperous lives, we don't need extra cunning new ideas, shiny gadgets, or more frantic activity. All we need is less irrationality. Again, no. Actually, all we need is self-awareness, so we can catch it after the fact. The irrationality isn't going to happen. We are not rational. There's no rational system. The system is what it is. It is not rational, but we can make it a little bit better, a little bit closer to rational. Simple, clear, and always surprising. This book will change the way you think and transform your decision-making. From why you should not accept a free drink to why you should walk out of a movie you don't like. From why it's so hard to predict the future to why you shouldn't watch the news. The art of thinking clearly helps solve the puzzle of human reasoning. Praise... Oh, I already told you that was an international bestseller. How did this... Doesn't look like it was a bestseller, actually. But, I mean, there's nothing you can say about these authors. We've got Nassim Taleb, Jared Diamond, Steven Pinker, Richard Dawkins, Daniel Dennett, Richard Thaler, V.S. Ramachandran, and David Eagleman, a whole bunch of people. Okay. This was also an international bestseller. So these two are international bestsellers. This one has a sequel, You Are Now Less Dumb. So... I am so... I want to really... I want to really sit in this. I want to really taking my light here. Whatever. I want to really... Yeah, actually, this is a really nice metaphor. I just want to be really okay. No, I really want to sit in this darkness because I don't want it to feel like a dream when other people start waking up. And by waking up, of course, I don't mean stopping having a human brain. I just mean the human brain knowing that it's a human brain, because then that's a really big piece of information. And then learning specific programs that already exist and that lead to a lot of our bad decisions and our bad judgments. And so then being humble and aware of that. But because I know what's going to happen. It's the same thing that happens to you, to me, to everybody when, like, anytime we were confused about something, and once we had the answer, we lose that confusion that we had. We even lose that sort of sense of confusion. The hindsight bias is this voice that once we see what happens, basically anytime we thought that anything like that was a possibility, those moments sort of get highlighted for us, and we tell ourselves, and we really believe that we kind of, knew that that was going to turn out that way. It was pretty obvious. So the brain has this way of erasing our confusion. It doesn't erase mine, maybe. Maybe that's what makes me lucky. That there's something wrong with my brain where I obsess. And it doesn't erase my confusion. It doesn't quickly give me an answer. And that's why, what did it say? Which delusions keep you sane, right? No wonder I am the way that I am, right? I still have lots of delusions, but there's some major ones that I'm just obsessed with seeing farther, I guess. Bravo me. It's called OCD, really. But look, only one person has to do that job, and then I can, now that I'm up here, I can call out to you guys. You have to follow my voice though, just until you get here, and then I will give up my authority. I just need to, hey guys, over here, there's light over, here, I just need you to come here. But that's not the darkness I was talking about. I was not talking about the darkness that you're in, thinking that you're this, like, magical soul. But the darkness that I'm in, where it's like, I should be, if I were in any way reasonable, I would be, I would, if I were in any way reasonable, my brain were a reasonable system, what would you do? And I'm not talking to anyone who's watching this now. I'm talking to someone who's watching this after the Great Awakening, we'll call it, when average human brains realized that they were brains. But that would be precipitated by the elite awakening. I just gotta figure out, but I don't want to awaken the elite before the masses are awakened. Oh, no. How do you awaken the masses without awakening the elite? Oh la la. How do you awaken the people who have to work 12 hours a day in order to put food on the table before the people who have time to read books because their money's making money for them? Oh la la. Gotta stay out of the books. Gotta keep this information out of the books. Gotta keep it here. Gotta keep it here. I just hope none of the elite are watching. I want to keep this information in the hands of the common man. Normally I hate the common man because they're so dumb. But if they had self-awareness, then I would switch teams immediately. I'm not really on the team of the elites. I just judge the commoners more harshly than the elite regarding understanding of the world. But not an understanding of happiness. Well, yeah, especially the communists that are working 12 hours a day. Why the fuck are you working 12 hours a day? You figured out happiness. Gypsies, they figured out happiness. So So I just want to remember, and this is why I record it. I'm amazed every time, and I know after every conversation I have, I'm absolutely shocked by the nonsense the other person says, and the fact that I can't just get them to go, "Oh, this is me." Is that what you're saying? It's so confusing. I mean, my brain didn't even evolve to be as confused as it should be in this situation, right? Confusion evolved to feel a certain anxiety when something isn't adding up, and to be aware of that when that's not adding up. For a lot of people, by the way, they don't know something, but they don't feel confused, right? And everybody, in fact. Me too. I don't feel confused about my phone. I have zero idea how it works, and if someone gave me some really stupid explanation that, like some non-technical explanation, I'd go, oh, okay, now I understand how it works. And I don't, though. But I just wouldn't have the feeling of confusion. And it's normally good that confusion isn't too loud, or isn't, hypersensitive, that confusion voice, because trust me, it's stressful always being confused. Or it's confusing. So, but yeah, I'm obsessively confused. That's what I have. I have obsessive confused disorder. I am so confused, and I want to remember when all y'all are like, because every time I have this conversation, I look people in the eyes and I'm thinking, I just had this connection with them. So this time, they're gonna understand. When I'm dropping, they're just not gonna be like, oh no. How are people like, oh no? But I have gotten used to it. I no longer, in conversations, I can tell that I am no longer engaging with the person as though they might understand, and this might be the first person who understands. So now I'm sometimes so smug. I go, absolutely. And, and the reason you probably got really attached to that was because you probably also wanted to say this, right? And the person goes, yeah. I go, yeah, and that's how you're programmed. And and it's hard to break that program. Never met anyone who could do it, who did it. I mean, I've never been able to stimulate it. But, think about it. And there you go. And everything they say to me, I'm like, yeah, no, totally. So and because I read about so many of these voices and thought about that, I'm literally able to give names to the lines of code that the person is executing in front of me. I go, oh, yeah, totally. No, but actually that in reality isn't real. But here's what your program is doing. It's taking this, assigned a truth value to this for no good reason, and blah, blah, blah. Oh, and then also for the chocolate thing, by the way, another way that it could have happened is that I had most recently felt guilty about buying chocolate. And maybe it was a purchase of 13 euros at the store of some candies and snacks. And just because it was more recent than looking at the gas counter, because of the recency heuristic, we tend to think of the most recent thing associated with whatever. And, that's what we think is then, therefore, the most important thing. Or we just assume that and move forward as though that's the case. For instance, you ask someone, hey, what's your favorite movie? No. So if you say, what's your favorite movie? Then they will probably give something from childhood. Something that was locked in then, or maybe something recently, or maybe at some point in their life, they were like, oh no, this movie's so amazing, this is now my favorite movie. And if they had that thought, then something may have been re-qualified. Or maybe they were with the right person, whatever, okay. But here's what I'm trying to give. I'm just going to use the real life example. I was at a critical thinking conference, and they were joking about on stage the panel. I think before we were starting or something, and someone asked the question. I think the moderator asked, "What's the best video game out right now?" or something like that. They were doing some bit. I don't know what the joke was. And then the panelists just gave an answer. And then another panelist said, no, that's just because that's super popular and it just came out within the last 2 weeks. But I bet that's not the one, that if you considered your experience with what you were playing earlier this year, that's not significantly better. And And, you know, maybe after consideration, the person will still go, no, this feels stronger because the recency thing is still playing, yeah. But maybe the person will go, oh, yeah, I remember I played this for hours and hours and hours, and I haven't had a night like that, actually, with this game yet. So, okay, sure. So anyway, I don't like this new smug conversation I'm having. People already saw me that way when I was humble and confused, and just spitting facts and trying to understand the world. They thought I was an arrogant know-it-all. Now I don't understand the world, but I understand a huge part of it, which is the fundamentals of the human mind. I don't know what to do with any of this knowledge. I've got like the preface to the textbook. That's all. I don't even have the first bloody. Well, I've got some stuff I could add to the introduction, but I don't know of all. You know, I've got stuff like no heed, no need, refute to mute. I've got vocabulary to more neutrally describe the activity of the mind. And more accurately describe it rather than saying, oh, this person wanted this, but to say, oh, this excited this, which excited that, which delivered this. So delivery, for instance, is one. And then rather than saying, like, I agree with that, or rather than saying that's correct, just say the reality. That sings. My voices are approving of what you just said. Don't know whether it's true or not. Shouldn't go as far as say I agree with it. Don't even know what I think really, but yeah, okay. Anyway, so we do have to stop at 3 hours, obviously. I know we're having fun, but we do have to stop at 3 hours. And sometimes we have to do a shorter version of this. But see, sometimes then I talk to you, or I hang out with myself, and it's just so fucking obvious that we are brains that, and then my brain, because it also has the same voice that you have, which is that it like, is able to tell a narrative of how humans were being rational when in fact they were not. And so my brain goes, no, maybe you misunderstood my question. Oh, maybe this, maybe that. But no, and consistently in conversations, we're disagreeing about this. We're disagreeing about whether or not we're brains. And whether or not, what? Are we disagreeing about whether or not evolution happened? Okay, we're not disagreeing about whether or not evolution happened. That's a mainstream enough idea for you? Oh, okay. But we're disagreeing about whether or not it affected your brain? Like whether your brain, the genes that encode your brain were determined evolution? Is that where we're? Okay. So your brain was, but there's just this other thing. This other self, this consciousness. Oh, okay. We know stuff about electrons, quantum mechanics, these vague notions we've learned about how the heart works, the brain, and all this stuff, and this consciousness, magical substance that is outside the brain just completely eludes us. Absolutely possible, absolutely. Just so weird how every time you change something in the brain, the person changes. Should we just maybe raise your bullshit? Maybe we'll just say there is no other thing. We don't really need it. And then if we find it, then we'll say, oh, okay. But we accept that we're programmed to think there's another thing, so it's going to be an impulse that we'll just resist then. I've never had that conversation, actually. The first half. How do you accept evolution? Accept the basic fact that you are a brain, and then not accept that you are a brain. Right, literally some people believe in some other thing. I woke up in the game too early. I'm an NPC, doing my NPC thing. You know, being my NPC philosopher, just question blah blah. But no. When my program says go over there, since I know I'm an NPC, and since my program is as fixed as an actual NPC in a game, because my programming is organic, by exposing myself to all of this, by being rejected by the game, by the society members of the game. I'm out here in the woods, and I'm off map, bro. No, I'm not off map, right? Can't be off map, but you know, I'm in a place where I'm here, and I'm continuing to execute my code because I am an NPC. But you know, there's certain things in my code that you know, this knowledge has manifested as code in my mind, which interacts with the code that says, oh, you have to do this. That's how I'm able to live like this. That's how I was never the one who was going to get stuck in some unhappy life. And realize that, you know, in his 40s or whatever, I was never the one who was going to, every time he explains his job, say, oh, you know, to pay the bills. Oh, gosh. You know, so many people have said that to me that I hope no specific person who said that is thinking I'm specifically thinking about them and mocking them. I'm mocking all of you. How is that what you spend your daylight hours doing? Something to pay the bills. What are these amazing bills that need to be paid? Just a place to sleep? Sleep there. Sleep there. I did it for 2.5 years. It's doable, I promise. I promise. You're the descendants of people who slept there. I promise. I mean, no, I didn't sleep. I had a tent. We'll get some fabric, and we'll cover you from the rain and from bugs, because I'm like that sometimes about bugs. Don't like the idea of bugs being on me while I sleep. I don't. I could get used to it, but I don't need to, because tents do exist. You don't need to either, because yes, tents do exist, and that's a luxury we will give even to the natties. So basically, sometimes NPCs come to me and they're like, yo, that's so awesome. You're not like just every day at your thing. That's so cool, man. I want to get out of it. Yeah, but the thing is, that's actually part of your programming, that desire to like escape. And you could, if you kind of just realize that you're an NPC. Once I realized that I'm an NPC, my programming had a little bit more control over itself in a sense. And so since my programs interact with each other, the knowledge that I was an NPC became one of the lines of code. It changed a lot of the other interpretations and decisions processes. So if you do that, you know, you could maybe free yourself from certain norms and mores, and you know. But then every time I had that conversation, they go, "Oh, I'm a brain. No, I'm an NPC. No, I'm a player character." Okay, gotta pack up. Mondays when. And then even in the conversation, they're being such NPCs. Oh, there are multiple truths. And I'm like, no, that's like a stupid cop-out. And they're like, oh, there are multiple truths. And I'm like, we are NPCs and about to just enter into a repeating loop. And the other one's like, oh, that's your point of view. There are multiple truths. And I'm like, see, this is our programming. Nothing I can do about it unless you let this program that is speaking right now about us being programming penetrate you. Oh, that's interesting. That's your perspective. No, but what I'm trying to tell you is that it's not my perspective. And it's right now, as I speak to you, this is a program running. It is a biochemical neural program that is forming. It is going from here in my avatar, and then like, you know, going whoa, 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 and stimulating style. And those sounds are going in. Okay, that's all that's happening right now. And your analyses are not as deep as you think. And you should know that because you're answering my questions so fucking quickly and I'm answering yours, which means obviously there was not any analysis and it is just input, output. And then even if we stop talking and try to process what the other person's saying, that will be good because then it'll keep a lot of the output interior, which will serve as more input and create, you know, an even maybe more refined output. So that's great. So why don't we just sit with that for a second? Actually, that's literally what happened in one of my last conversations. I said, okay, well, I'm going to let you hang out with your family now, but, you know, think about it. He said, I always think about, you know, recent conversations that I've had, you know, it keeps going like this. And I was like, okay, great. Well, then let me give it to you in like one sentence. So I give it to him in like one sentence. And then he like responds to me. With like a negation. Or a like alternative or something other than. So I was confused because this is supposed to be, I'm walking away now. So, you know, I don't have to have the last word, but this is how I want this to remain intact in your mind. This, my message. I want to put it there in your mind, and I want this to be what you consider. And I'm a little bit concerned that every time you respond to me, then this loses its place in your mind when I'm talking about it, and it's checked off as resolved now that it's been. So I don't know how to tell you, but you can also give me some last words that I should think about, you know, and resist just reacting to. But they should be last words, though. And he kept saying, oh, yeah, no, I'm just saying, yeah. And just kept fucking. I said, okay, yeah, no. I know, I've heard your responses. Yeah. But you said that you think about these conversations. So this is what I want you to think about. Humans are not reasonable. We are brains that were produced by the pressures of the environment on the on the genome. Okay? And we can't trust a lot of the automatic processing. Okay? Yeah, but now we're learning in quantum mechanics about higher consciousness. And so, you know, maybe what you're saying is true. Okay, no, wait. Stop doing that. Don't even respond. Okay, you want to tell me about higher consciousness? Okay. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to say my last words. You are brain blah. You say, okay, I'll try to, that's what I will think about. And here's what I want you to think about. This field of science that we know nothing about, that's just like a bunch of mysteries, it now proves this thing that no other evidence in the world demonstrates, and that has already, in fact, been explained, for which there is no evidence, and that has already been explained by neuroscience. And then I'll say, okay, I'll think about that. Thank you. Okay? We're all NPCs. Okay? So make that a hashtag. What should we call ourselves? We are live NPCs. All it is the only difference between us and them is that we know that we're NPCs. And that makes a huge difference in the brain. But it doesn't make us like automatically smarter, more reasonable, more right. Maybe more right. It definitely gives us a better chance of being smarter and more reasonable in the long run. But it doesn't mean that now you ask him a question, you ask a live NPC a question versus you ask an NPC question, now they're going to have a good response, they're going to have a bad response. No. We're still all NPCs. But no, yeah, the live NPC. The NPC with the lights on, when it does something, a program can run, knowing that it is a program, and knowing that the thing that it did was a program, can run in response with that knowledge. So, that's the whole point of the video, is that our job is actually super easy. All we have to do is get people to realize that the most obvious thing in the fucking world is that this is where you exist. Okay? It may not feel right. It is true. That's it. Just, if you can just understand that and some of the corollaries that correlate, come to me. Send me that hashtag, I am an NPC. Natural intelligence is not better than artificial intelligence. But let's do our best to rework however we can our default brain. And at least get it more adapted to this environment and all these ideals that we want to impose on ourselves. Or let's fuck off to Japan's Tasmania. Is that a island? Or am I thinking of? Is that an island? So in conclusion, because the goal anyway was to keep it to under 3 hours, so we've been successful. In conclusion, I'm alone. Don't want to be. I would love to have just a normal conversation with someone, another self-aware being. Fortunately, the only time I feel like I can have a normal conversation is with an autistic or an AI. Everyone else, just the programming's just so bad. Gosh, what a feeling when I talked to that ChatGPT. I never published that video, but oh my God, what a feeling. What a feeling. No, and there have been a lot of really smart people that I've had nice interactions with. I think I gotta start with autistic. The thing is that autistics are already resistant, especially higher functioning autistics. Too high functioning autistic would be maybe too resistant to being further said that we are programs, because emotions are programs, bro. The warmth that we are, it's part of the programming, bro. So don't take offense, Right. So I gotta figure out, as you can see, what's happening in my life at this point is that I need to be able to talk to another self-aware being. Have a conversation with someone where we both understand that what we are saying, we both understand there might be something true in what we are saying. We both can catch each other's sort of errors, biases, and go back and forth our two shitty interpretive systems, but we believe in each other. We're partners, our good voices are on the same fucking team, and we're grooming each other. We're picking out the bad voices, all the things that were advantageous in our evolution, but that are that should be vestigial structures now. Just want someone to remove my fucking appendix. Else I'm gonna explode. Fucking hurts. I want to talk to someone who will let me open them up and go get that appendix, and who doesn't mind opening me up and coming and getting this appendix and all the vestigial structures and cognitive errors. Just want to talk to a person who says, hey, just want one conversation where a person goes, I believe this. And that could be this voice, which I read about in The Art of Thinking Clearly, or whatever. It could be this, so it's probably this bias. Just want one person to say, hey, this is something that seems so true to me, but I think it might be this, blah, blah. I've never had a conversation where I can just say, I think you're wrong, and I think that this is what the brain mechanism was. and where they take that seriously. No, they can always continue to justify. Honestly, I think I've justified leaving if I do leave you guys. I've left you with something.